Hi, I'm Jim Major, consultant at King's Lynn office of Brown&Co in the Land Agency Department, working for private clients and families. It's the best work we do and the most enjoyable work that I know of.
Hello, I'm Bradley. I'm an agricultural business consultant, also based out of our King's Lynn office. On a day-to-day basis, involved with all sorts of business management, from financial projections, budgeting, to helping clients achieve their objectives.
We're here today just to talk a little bit about some of our favourite work for clients and families, which is helping them achieve their objectives. And in this particular case, as we're going to find out, the extraordinary mix that these guys have brought together to achieve a particular objective. Commercial holdings come along every now and again, allowing entrance into farming. This is a particularly interesting opportunity because it brings together that commercial arable farming element, along with the potential to establish a social enterprise, a care farm in this case, to help the community, and how these two families are going to come together to produce a final product, which I think is likely to be extraordinarily unique, is something that we're very happy to have been involved in so far, and something that we're going to see through to what's bound to be a happy ending. Bradley, I'm over to you.
Thank you, Jim. I'm Bradley. I'm an agricultural business consultant, also based out of our King's Lynn office. And I'm just going to outline the detail of the opportunity that was presented by the Norfolk County Council. So Ingleborough Farm is part of the West Walton estate. The farm is 133 acres, split into two lots. There is a various array of general purpose agricultural buildings that come with the property. In the particulars, the council defined that there was no restrictions on agricultural use for the prospective tenants, but we're keen to receive applications to develop a care farm on the holding. It stated that the council were keen to see applications which include proposals for diversification and environmental enhancement. A little bit about the tenancy. It's a 10-year FBT commencing on the 11th of October 2022. There are no entitlements offered with the tenancy. This was an important consideration we had to take into account when we were putting together our tender, but I'll talk a bit about this later. There is a break clause on the 5th anniversary and a rent review every 3 years in accordance with the Agricultural Tenancy Act.
I'm Alex Webster. My history is I'm a registered nurse. I've worked in Southend in palliative care and A&E is the main part of my background. And I've also completed a Master's in Learning Disability and Psychology.
My name's Ed Webster, Alex's husband. I have worked for the East of England Ambulance Service for the past 20 years as a paramedic. At home we have two autistic children. Our son's 16, Stanley, he's severely autistic, and our daughter Robin, who's 12, is mildly autistic. But kind of that gives us our sort of excellence by experience into going into this venture.
About 6 years ago we visited a care farm in Wales, and it's kind of where it all started for us to we saw how important this is for people like Stanley, and it's something we talked about, and then recently Stanley turned 16 and transitioned into the adult world, and we found it quite hard to find things that he would like to do, especially moving on, looking at the rest of his life. And we said if only that care farm, could come true. And literally within a couple of days, the advert came out in the EDP for Norfolk County Council asking specifically that area at Ingleborough, they would want to be a care farm, and we only live 2 miles down the road, and it all just seemed to slot into place from there, really. And it's something that Stanley can take part in, and with us until we retire, we can just help people like him.
Hello, my name's Ben Human, 41 years old, live at Walpole St Andrews, which is near King's Lynn. I grew up on my father's farm, helped him throughout the years, but as time went on, we couldn't sustain me as a full-time job. So at 21, joined the fire service, and I still actively serve in the fire service today. Throughout the years, I've looked to expand in different businesses. So I created a small farm shop on my dad's farm, which has grown from strength to strength. We now employ about 28 people for the farm shop, and recently just opened a restaurant on the same site. My passion for farming was always there, and the opportunity arose, and we were successful in applying for the County Council Farm.
So my name's Gemma Human, Ben's wife. I'm a fitness consultant. I've been in the industry for about 15 years, and I have a passion for helping others both with their physical fitness and their mental health as well. I've been working with the Borough Council and been involved in many referral systems out in the community, and I've just seen how being active can both help both physical and mental health, and Ingleborough Care Farm has the perfect situ to be able to give this to the community. Working beside the animals as well, we have plans for alpaca walks and alpaca yoga, and it's just a perfect opportunity to be able to help the community.
Whilst looking at the plan that the council had for Ingleborough Farm, we realised, myself and Alex, that we had kind of the care side covered from our experience and work and everything, but kind of little understanding or limited understanding of the farming side. So that's when we approached Ben, as I know through work and through the village as a farmer, for his advice and sort of information that he could help us with, and realised we were both going for the same farm. Is when we discussed and decided to put our resources and work together to make this the best that we can.
So our vision for the care farm was, we've been doing the farming side, myself and Ed doing the side where we're going to have people with learning disabilities, autism, mental health, vulnerable people from the local community that can come in, help with animal husbandry, working on the land, planting, being physically active, which is good for your mental health, it's good for you physically. Every client that comes can have the idea would be to have a personal care plan as such, to identify what they need out of it, so that we can help people with their own, what they need to achieve. So for some people it can even be just being part of a understanding group, an understanding community that can help them achieve their goals.
So what I'm hoping to bring to our little venture is the arable side. The arable side has always been my passion and my dream. So we're looking to do about 70 acres of the 133 acres, which will be arable. It'll be cereal based, there'll be some root crops grown as well. There'll also be about 15 to 20 acres of woodland that will hopefully go through the Woodland Trust and relevant grants, etc. We'll be putting in 20 acres of stewardships, which will be wild bird mixes, wild bumblebee mixes, all different elements of stewardship green. One of the main elements of the stewardship, we're measuring it up, that we're hoping to put in about 6,000 metres of native hedgerows, again for the wildlife, and hopefully some berries can be produced with fruit trees that we're going to put in within the hedgerows, just basically bring the nature back to the environment. There'll be some grasslands, and some paddocks for the animals, which we can use in the Ingleborough Care Farm. We're hoping to also, with the correct approval, planning authority, and from the council, be looking to put in at least 2 acres of 2 ponds, which will hopefully bring the wildlife ever closer, because it's just on the wash. So there's lots and lots of ideas of what to do for Ingleborough Farm, as well as other sides.
Yes, just touching further on the benefits of our project to the local community. Obviously I mentioned earlier about the fitness side. but it's also the fantastic voluntary opportunities that are going to be involved with the farm as well. That's going to be really crucial, and that's really important, a way of helping people to find their way in employment through voluntary entry. They're also going to be obviously growing their own crops, learning how to harvest these little crops and perhaps learn how to cook with them as well. So yeah, another outlet is obviously growing the crops and people learning how to grow produce, how to harvest produce, and we will able to sell them to local businesses, including the farm shops locally, and the local restaurants, so people can see it's directly how it's grown and how it's going to be used.
So we'll also be working with local schools and special needs schools in the area to help offer them educational opportunities on the farm. So the two families coming together, we bring so many different skills individually as individual people, and together it just made a fantastic opportunity. So once we'd got the business plan written and we'd got all our ideas down on paper, we really needed to reach out to the rural consultants and say, is this a viable business? Is any of this pie in the sky? How is this going to look? How is this going to work as a business? And that's when we spoke to Brown&Co.
So once we've been invited to help with this further application, the first thing we sat down to do, I did with everyone, was to talk about the tender process, which is quite it's obviously an important thing to get right, and it's a skill in itself. I always say start by reading the prospectus, then read it again, and then read it again, to make sure that you identify the objectives and the strategies that the landlord is offering. In this case, the county council, it's a public authority. They have their own objectives and their own protocols. They're publicly accountable. You've got to make sure in an application that you hit all of those spots and tick all of those boxes. Follow the script of the letter of the tender. Always don't go outside the way that the tender documentation is drafted. Definitely decide how badly you want the opportunity. What's it worth getting out of bed for? Are we doing the right thing? Re-examine at each stage that you are sure, as a group particularly, that you're all doing the right thing. In this case, there are 4 individuals, and they each needed to be confident of their competence and their skill and commitment at each of the sectors of the application. And of course, it's not just about the application, it's about what you're going to do once you've achieved the objective. So remembering that full commitment from yourselves and also from any funding sources and any other supporting organisations or people are bang on and they're right there behind you, including the bank. Everybody's got to be there, and stay true always throughout the process to your own objectives. Only submit a tender that outlines what you want to say and to do and to achieve, and then just before you finally sign it off and put it in the envelope, read the prospectus again and make sure that you've ticked all the boxes.
Having looked at the tender pack and chatted to Jim about the opportunity, we sat down and went through the business plan that had been put together, and it was clearly identified that we need to then start putting some numbers to the plan. As part of this process, we need to clearly identify each individual's roles in putting this plan in putting the tender pack together. Now, my specialty and expertise came in putting together budgets and cash flow forecasts and bringing the ideas that everyone had together into a single document which showed the financial outcomes of the proposed care farm. Now, this is vital in terms of showing the viability of the farm and how the business is going to work, not only for the candidates but also for the council. Both parties need to know that we've got a viable business that's going to last and be sustainable going into the future. So this is a vital part of the tender process, and this is where our involvement was. Now, I touched upon before about the delinking of basic payment and the fact that entitlements weren't provided as part of the farm, and this was an important factor we needed to consider because we needed to create a business model that was going to work without basic payment support. Now, we all know that BPS is fading away, and in 2024 we're going to have a delinking of land away from payments. So this means that your area payment is no longer going to be based on your land area held and entitlements. It's going to be based on a reference period, which is calculated on your average payment received from 2020 through to 2022, and this will be the base level in which your payments from 2024 will be recalculated through to their reduction and last payment being received in 2027. So this was a really important factor that we needed to consider, and we needed to make sure that our business plan not only financially delivered in terms of being able to provide a competitive rent, but also in terms of being able to provide the families involved with the financial return to make it work.
So where we're at the moment is pretty much the paperwork stage. We've set up the actual official company with Companies House, and we're now writing policies, procedures, looking into legally, what we need to do, what we can and can't do. Speaking to people like the NHS and the Council's Education Department, putting out to companies because we're going to ask for some sponsorship. So it's a lot of the paperwork side really up until October when we actually take over the farm. We've also got a site now with the draft lease which we can go through and then hopefully in the next couple of days sign with the council.
So as of October the 11th, we have access, we take over the tenancy of the farm, and it's going to be straight in, hands-on, instantly, preparing the buildings, the polytunnels, and everything ready for the care farm, but also getting in the crops for a winter harvest. So it's going to be a very busy time with a plan in opening the care farm in January 2023.
So with the process, we had all the information that we wanted to put towards to try to get the farm. But with Brown&Co's involvement, it actually gave us a lot more strength as the foursome. They'd done all the numbers which we were worried about because we couldn't see ourselves how to do it. It was quite hard work when we tried to do it ourselves, but with their help on that side, it actually showed us what we personally could achieve, which gave us that drive forward. And even the fact that they came and Mr. Major came and sat with us for several hours and went through a mock interview. A lot of us haven't done interviews for years, but again, that gave us the strength to go on to sit in front of that panel in a county hall, and it just gave us the confidence to achieve what we did. So
and to believe in what we've done, really.
Yeah. Without, I'm not just saying, but without the help from Brown&Co, it certainly wouldn't have been as good an application as we had. We knew we had the ideas, but it's not our strength at putting it all together, and they helped us do that. And we can't thank them enough.